Everyone told me to play Titanfall 2, it's definitely the most requested game by far, so I did. I'm not going to do a full review of it, but I'm going to let you know what I think about it. I like the design of the world, it's a pretty cool place to walk around in, and there's some cool level concepts, particularly the one where you're riding platforms and they're constructing houses around you. That level gave me serious Portal 2 vibes. The wall running leads to a few fun sections of platforming, especially the ones that incorporate additional mechanics. I wish there was more of it, and there should have been some interesting platforming puzzles with combat involved. Most of the levels introduce something new visually, which is nice. Even sections where there's no action, it's still nice to run through. There's a few spots though where it clearly looks like your character should be able to pass through, and you simply can't, and then you die because you're trying to go there, and it's pretty frustrating. The guns feel really good to use, and they have a really nice impact to them. Shooting the human enemies results in nice splatters and a lot of good animation. The auto shotgun is lovely, and I carried it through most of the game actually. I was dying to experiment with the weapons more, but I tended to just settle into one or two weapons that seemed to work for me, and I only changed if I ran out of ammo. If this game didn't have the tired 2-weapon limit that's been so prevalent in shooters with mainly console audiences, I would have experimented with a lot more weapons. Sadly, you just can't experiment with new weapons without leaving behind something you like. On my second playthrough, I played around with a lot more weapons. A negative of Titanfall 2 that immediately jumped out at me was the color saturation. The game, despite its epic landscapes and interesting locations, looks kinda ugly. If you look at the rocks next to the trees, they kind of blend into each other. Grays, browns, greens. It's not very pleasant. It's similar to Resident Evil 2, which needed some PC magic color correction to fix. This world, especially in outdoor areas, is just screaming to be vibrant visual experiences like Uncharted. The colors pop more when there's some effects on screen, fire, explosions, stuff like that, and some levels look better than others. The player movement is really good, you're very free and mobile, double jumping using zip lines, sprinting and sliding. There's a lot of reloading. In a very wise decision, sprinting does not cancel your reload animation like it does in Destiny and other shooters, so the pace of the game doesn't get interrupted so much. I'm not a fan of games with constant reloading, but this feature made it more tolerable. The Titan combat is nothing special. The Titans feel very clunky and unintuitive, which I guess makes sense. I just don't find it very fun to drive these things, regardless of the loadout. Oddly, playing on hard for my first playthrough, I made it through the Titan boss fights mostly just by generally strafing side to side and spamming whatever attack I had available until they died. I may die a couple times, but after 2 or 3 attempts, it worked. There wasn't much motivation to get good at using the Titan. Honestly, if I could avoid every Titan section and play it on foot, I would. The main Titan's name is BT, and he's friendly enough, talking to you regularly and helping you out. As I played the game on stream, a lot of viewers were asking me why I wasn't engaging with BT by choosing the dialogue options. Here's the thing, I was at first. I stopped because of 2 issues. The first is that they have no impact on anything. It doesn't matter what my character says. No dialogue choices affect your relationship with BT or how the story plays out, so I just didn't see the point. I started ignoring them, and I don't know why they didn't just have the character respond automatically. It seems like a missed opportunity to let the player influence how the friendship with BT evolves. On my second playthrough, I picked more of the dialogue options, and there's some cute moments, but I can do without it. The second point is that BT is kinda monotonous. Everything he says is delivered with the same inflection.
I advise caution while navigating this facility's substation. You must recover the ARC tool.
What is this place?
The station's computer details this location as the power grid for an IMC interstellar beacon. Wind, 3 knots, heading 274. Range, 95 meters. Projectile mass, 89 kilograms. Trust me.
I understand what they're going for. They want that RoboCop voice.
When you're at rest, you will sit in the chair.
Yes, I understand. Excuse me. I have to go. Somewhere there is a crime happening.
I brought you some food.
Oh, thank you. I'm not hungry.
But RoboCop still lets his humanity seep through, especially as the film progresses. BT doesn't feel like he matures. He never feels like a being that's actually developing a bond with you, more like something that's programmed to be friendly. I'm struggling to verbalize my feelings on this. Okay, I think it's stuff like this. This cute moment where BT throws the pole and actually points with his finger to aim, there's no reason a robot would need to do that. It's a very human thing. That's why it's charming and memorable. And then in this section where BT gives you a thumbs up, he's expressing himself through gestures like he has a living personality, but his voice never does that. And I just wish it did. It's hard to develop feelings for a robot character without some kind of humanity in their voice. You fear GLaDOS in Portal because of how she teases you and how psychopathic she is, and you feel her frustration with you, despite her cold robotic voice.
Never mind, it's a mystery I'll solve later. By myself. Because you'll be dead. I wouldn't bother with that thing. My guess is that touching it will just make your life even worse, somehow.
You adore Johnny Number 5 because even though he's just a bunch of metal parts, he speaks like a child discovering the world, full of curiosity and wonder.
Now look. Look.
Look.
No, there. See?
Oh, beautiful. Light bulb.
BT basically delivers every line the same, and that's part of the reason I just stopped engaging with the dialogue options. He got a couple smiles out of me, I'm not gonna lie, he's cute.
Are you okay, pilot?
Hell yeah. I'm on a hot streak.
Your vitals do not indicate a temperature problem. Do you wish for me to investigate this hot streak sensation further?
It's just an expression, BT. It means I've been killing a lot of enemies quickly.
Understood. I have added hot streak to my vocabulary. I have had numerous hot streaks within the past 38 standard hours.
Usually I get invested in the story of a game if I'm really engaged by the gameplay. So I guess we gotta talk about the gameplay. The AI, man, the AI in this game is really bad. Horrendous. Again, I like the guns, and the movement, and the levels, but holy Jesus, the combat encounters are so poor. The enemies just stand there like dumbasses. I mostly just run around aimlessly and blast whoever. If I need to heal, I just hide for a second and go right back at it. There's very little enemy variation, and they all just do one thing basically. There aren't any really cool AI targets to fight with special kinds of mobility or anything. I kept thinking back to Fear from 2005 and how those enemies would flip over tables to use as cover, break windows to run around and flank you. It's been 15 years, guys. Let's get some AI evolution, please. Honestly, this was a big issue to me because I've been excited to play Titanfall 2, and in the end I felt like their enemy design and the AI was the last priority on their list. If you play the game on the master difficulty, it doesn't help anything because it doesn't change how they behave. You just get shot instantly and you die faster, so you have to be more careful and hide behind cover more. They're still dumb as hell. I played through the game my first time on hard, and sometimes I would bump it up to master for a few encounters just to feel it out. And I can't say I really enjoyed any of the combat encounters past the first few in the first level while I was figuring the game out. I've played the game twice now, once on hard and a second time on a mix of hard and master. Master difficulty didn't make the game more interesting for me. I'm a bit biased because I'm not a fan of games where you hide behind cover and peek out to snipe people and hide to recharge your health, and if you're exposed for more than half a second you die because someone 100 yards away that you can't see shoots you. It's just a preference thing. There was one level where I just ran around the entire time stunning everyone with the electricity gun and punching them. I literally killed every person in the level by doing this, on hard. Look, I didn't want this to turn into a completely negative video. There's some stuff I like in Titanfall 2, particularly in the way it controls, but the stuff I like, I don't have much to say about. I can only say so much about how the guns feel good to use and the world is cool. Now I want to talk a bit about the interesting mechanics the game introduces, namely the time shifting and the activation of platforms with the arc tool. In one level, you get the ability to instantly travel backwards and forwards in time. It's really cool. They introduce some basic platforming puzzles, like time shifting to make the floor disappear, and then shifting back before the fire touches you, shifting between combat encounters in 2 different time periods. It's wild. Using it in combat is actually pretty broken. I mean, these guys are basically fighting Nightcrawler at this point. There's no chance they survive this. When I got this ability, I started getting really excited for where the game was gonna go. The puzzles it presents are pretty simple, but that's good when introducing a new mechanic. I falsely assumed that they would build on this mechanic. I know that it breaks combat, but it could be regulated somehow. Maybe you could find charge stations for the ability. or you earn it after every 20 kills. I don't know, something like that. Because the game just takes it away from you after this one level. And man, what a mistake. Once the game gives you the arc tool that activates platforming sections, I was imagining using these two things together, having to target spots to flip platforms while skipping through time and avoiding hazards, fighting enemies that were flying around in 2 timelines, the game getting more and more cerebral and creative as it goes along. The platforming in Titanfall 2 is cool and all, it's fun to wall run like this, but the game doesn't really do anything with it. It made me further appreciate the platforming in Doom Eternal because of the variety of mechanics it uses. It feels a bit fresher there, and it was also incorporated into the combat arenas. I guess I was expecting a different game. I really thought Titanfall 2, from the moment of introducing the time shift, was going to gradually introduce more mechanics and require the player to figure out how they work together. I thought it was going to go the Portal 2 direction, where you've eventually mastered the combination of all your tools. Instead, you get these abilities separately, and the game doesn't build on them or evolve in interesting ways, and the game just continues to feel the same. It's too bad. I've been told the true experience of Titanfall 2 is the multiplayer, so I tried it out. And yeah, it's cool. I can see why people like it. It's like a faster, crazier Call of Duty with mechs. So I get it. I played around for a bit, but it's not for me. I don't play much multiplayer anyway, so I'm really not the best judge. The game is filled with a lot of beautiful scenes, moments where you just want to stop and admire what's going on around you, big explosions and crashing ships. It's really selling the epic experience in the campaign. It ends right when it feels like it's getting started. I think my first playthrough on hard took about 5 hours, which I'm not used to. When I wanted the game to keep building on its mechanics, it seemed content to simply disregard them by its final chapter. The platforming nearly disappears in the last battles. You lose all your weapons in the final chapter, and they give you an infinite ammo auto-targeting pistol that instantly headshots every enemy on screen. And it's like, what am I even doing anymore? The game seems like it's telling me that it's given up at this point, and there's no need to play it anymore. Just run forward and press the fire button and everyone will die automatically. And for the final sequence, the platforming comes back, but it's scripted platforming, and you're just running forward and pressing jump with no consideration for timing or spacing. It's autopilot because it's the end of the game, and they don't want to interrupt the story flow. It's a really weird way to end a game. In the end, Titanfall 2 was a disappointment. I wouldn't call it a bad game. I'm glad I got to play it and see it for myself. It's got some good stuff going on, I can see why people like it, but it felt pretty on the rails for me. There are huge missed opportunities with the puzzle mechanics, but I think my main issue is with the AI, the lack of enemy variation and enemy behavior. If the combat encounters had been more interesting, it would have held my attention more, and then it would have made me more interested in the story and all that. Sorry guys, I wanted to like this one. Thanks for watching this video, make sure to like and sub, and I'll see you next time.
I can throw you across the gap.
Are you sure about this?
There is a 68% chance of success. Wind, 3 knots, heading 274. Range, 95 meters. Projectile mass, 89 kilograms. Trust me,